Okay, so H.P. Lovecraft was obsessed with the gods growing up, and didn't believe, or at least wasn't a Christian, which is fine because he's possibly the manifestation of death, or at least an avatar of death. And death created itself. Okay, it doesn't need Jesus to save it from anything. It it created itself, so it can never die. So, anyways, well, never say never, but anyways, so. But he's a brother of God. He doesn't need something that God created to. No. But he was obsessed with these gods. And a lot of his stories were about the gods. A lot of these human characters are actually. They have the exact same expression of a corresponding god. So, for instance, the Reanimator is Shiva. Okay, Herbert West Reanimator is Shiva. But these gods I want to talk about specifically are, okay, there's these four beasts in Daniel's vision of Apocalypse. The first beast is Gabriel. The second beast is Abaddon, Apollo. The third beast is Hades, Ariel. Ariel is its angelic name. And then the fourth beast is Michael, Zeus. Okay? So, this first beast, Gabriel, this is what I'm saying. Nobody really knows. Only God knows. These other beings, they don't know who's really good or who's evil. Even Death, who is a benevolent being, he still doesn't know. Okay? He depicts Gabriel as somebody who gets this inheritance, gets this castle as an inheritance. Yeah, the stories, they're called the rats in the walls. There ends up being these rats in the walls of the castle, which is like crazy because nobody's lived there in however long, so what are they fucking eating? I guess he ends up delving into the underlayers of the castle and losing his mind somehow and becoming a cannibal. So that's Gabriel. Okay. Second story, or second god, Apollo in the Whisper in Darkness, is a guy who lives by himself on a mountain. And there's these weird things that live on the mountain. They go in this mine and they fucking mine metal that's not on their planet. And they fly off with the shit to their fucking planet. This other guy is writing about, he's debunking. He's famous, or he's well known for debunking. These myths, mythological creatures or whatever, and saying they all have some shared whatever in folklore. And this guy is Horus, okay, or Aether also. So and Apollo is also Set. So if you know anything about the history of that, may be interesting to you. But anyways, so so the guy who lives on the mountain starts writing this other guy who's a skeptic, and starts to change his mind, starts showing him evidence, and this other guy just shuts up about being a skeptic and is just starting to talk to this guy now. And now these beings are figuring out that he's writing these letters. I think they even intercept some, and the skeptic, he ends up finding out that those beings have taken over that guy's body and are using his face through biological precision of removing his face off and his hands. And it's really just, which that's just a metaphor for what has happened to him in the spiritual world, I guess. He tried to fight back against and expose these demons, or these beings, these outer beings, these Lovecraftian beings. And in the end, he's really just one of them, but he's just like, they took over his mind, basically. And the skeptic that ended up believing him ends up finding his hands and his face, and just fucking freaks out and just dips out into the night, like on a wild car ride out of there. But this is kind of what this is a depiction of what has happened in the spiritual world. The interaction between Apollo and these outer beings. Tried to fight against him all by himself, and they ended up just fucking destroying him and taking over his mind. He should have got out of there. He had his chance to escape, but for some reason he just wanted to hold down his fort or whatever, and they ended up just taking over his mind. The third beast in Daniel's Revelations, who I believe is Hades, he's depicted by Lovecraft in the story The Whisperer in Darkness. No, what I just did that one. No, The Thing on the Doorstep, he's depicted. And Hera is his friend in school, and who's Hera, who's also Salafiel. Hera, yes, is his friend in school, and he's kind of awkward, but he's writing this book about Azathoth, and this girl ends up getting involved with him, but this girl is actually just an avatar of Azathoth. And so in the end of the book, this girl is able to psychically take over his body and displace his mind, and his mind went somewhere, his soul or whatever went somewhere else, and he ends up trying to go back to his schoolmate or whatever and tell him about what happened. And he ends up just fucking melting into just this ooze on the doorstep. And so what I'm saying is both of these characters are heroes. They set out on a hero's quest, but these things, just these outer beings. So they're in the Bible. I believe that's the only place where you're going to see Hades in Revelation is that third beast. But Apollo, he appears as a horseman. Gabriel is also a horseman. He's also the first horseman of Apocalypse. But Apollo is also one of the horsemen. I believe the second one. Yeah. And so he's all throughout. So these outer beings were able to hijack Apocalypse to a certain degree. And but now, unfortunately for them, is, you know, they don't know now that first beast, Gabriel, as crazy as death as H.P. Lovecraft may think he is, and as anybody else may think he is, God knows that he's, you know, on God's side, and everything he was doing was trying to, you know, hack the system, dealing with this gray area and all that, taking over hell, whatever. And so yeah, so he's so God knows he's all right, even though H.P. Lovecraft has depicted him as this guy who delved too deeply into these ancestral tombs and lost his mind and became a cannibal.